How many of you in this room have already felt the pressure from regulators, from investors, from your own customers to make your business more sustainable? And how many of you have looked at the available options and thought, where do I actually start? My name is Yuhong Guan, and today I am not here to tell you that fast fashion has a problem. You already know that. I am here to show you exactly what three specific innovations can do for your business, commercially, operationally, and reputationally, and give you a clear roadmap for moving forward. The Earth is nowhere outside the safe operating space for humanity. That is not my words. That is the conclusion of a landmark study published in Science Advances in 2023, led by Professor Catherine Richardson and a team of the world's leading Earth system scientists. 6 of 9 planetary boundaries have been crossed. The systems that make life on this planet stable and predictable are being pushed beyond their limits. And sitting in this room today, as professionals in the fast fashion industry, we need to acknowledge something uncomfortable. Our industry is one of the forces driving that. Because look at these three numbers: 92 million tons of textile waste dumped every single year, approximately 10% of global carbon emissions from fashion alone, more than aviation and shipping combined, and one garbage truck worth of textiles landfilled or burned every second of every day. I raise this not to alarm you, but because they represent the regulatory pressure, the reputational risk, and the consumer expectation sitting on every balance sheet in this room right now. The question is no longer whether your business needs to respond. Richardson and colleagues have already answered that. The question is how and how fast. To frame the challenge properly, I want to use the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit, because the fast fashion industry is currently failing on all three, and your stakeholders are watching all three at the same time. On planet, the environmental footprint of this industry is well documented. Textile waste, carbon emissions, water pollution, and microplastics. These are not just ethical concerns, they are increasingly regulatory ones. The EU is already legislating on them. On people, workers earn less than 1% of the retail price of the garments they produce. Brands have historically transferred cost to suppliers through tight deadlines and minimum payments, as Tura and colleagues documented, forcing those suppliers to cut corners on safety and sustainability. This is not just a human rights issue. It is a supply chain risk that regulators and consumers are increasingly unwilling to accept. On profit, and here I mean long-term profit, not quarterly returns. Short-termism, overproduction, and race to the bottom pricing are destroying supplier relationships and ignoring a $350 billion circular economy opportunity. As Brundtland and colleagues argued, genuine business sustainability is all about horizons, and the brands in this room that think in decades, not quarterly, are the ones that will still be here in the future. Here, I want to make the social dimension concrete for you as business leaders, because understanding where the money currently flows is essential to understand where the opportunity lies. This chart from the Clean Clothes campaign shows the retail price breakdown of a €29 t-shirt made in Bangladesh. €17 goes to retail and overheads. €3.61 goes to brand profit. 18 cents goes to the workers who made it. The brand earns 20 times more per garment than the person who produced it. Now, I am not raising this to make you feel guilty. I am raising it because this distribution is increasingly a legal liability, a reputational risk, and frankly, a missed opportunity. When you restructure this value chain through innovation, you do not just do the right thing, you build a more resilient, more defensible business. The structural problem is this: your industry currently operates on a linear model: design, make, sell, dump. Every stage extracts values and generates waste with no mechanism to recover either. The circular model, supported by leading scholars including Stayhill, Gestover, and Bolken, operates on a fundamentally different logic: design, make, use, return, recycle, repeat. Waste becomes a resource. Supply chains become accountable, and new revenue streams open up that simply do not exist in the linear model. For the business professionals in this room, this is not just an environmental argument, it is a competitive positioning argument. The companies that build circular infrastructures now will have a significant first mover advantage as regulation tightens and consumer expectations shifted. So, what specifically should you invest in? I am recommending three innovations that work together as an integrated system because, as Adams and colleagues established, the most effective sustainability oriented innovation combines technological, regulatory, and social approaches at the same time. Here, innovation one AI and blockchain for supply chain transparency. For your business, this means AI driven demand forecasting that reduce overproduction, one of the most costly inefficiency in fast fashion, and blockchain traceability that gives you defensible evidence of your supply chain conditions. In a world of increasing greenwashing legislation, this is not just good ethics, it is a legal protection. Innovation 2, circular economy and e-commerce platforms, rental, resale, and take-back schemes that generate revenue from existing product. Or Bogan and colleagues call delivering functionality rather than ownership. This is a genuinely new revenue stream that your business does not currently have. Arden Fisher's Renew program already proves this model is commercially viable. Innovation 3. Extended producer responsibility combined with the slow fashion movement. The EU has already legislated on EPR. Van Bommel's research is clear that without regulatory pressure, voluntary action is insufficient. The brands that get ahead of this legislation now will be far better positioned than those who wait to be forced. Now, let me tell you why the conditions for making this move have never been better. Regulatory, the EU strategy for sustainable textiles is already in force. Transparency, eco design, and waste reduction are now legal requirements, not optional commitments. In the market, the global resale sector is projected to reach $350 billion by 2028. This is a market your business is currently leaving on the table. Balkan and colleagues show that circular models also significantly strengthen customer loyalty, which is a commercially multiplier that linear models simply cannot replicate. Technologically, the cost of AI and blockchain has fallen dramatically. Colombi and Detria documented in 2023 that these tools are now scalable and affordable at a level that makes adoption genuinely viable for business of all sizes. And socially, consumer values are shifting rapidly. The slow fashion movement is not a niche trend. It is becoming mainstream consumer expectation. The businesses that align with it now will benefit from that shift. Those that do not will face growing consumer backlash. I want to be direct about the barriers because you are business professionals and you deserve a realistic picture, not an optimistic one. Financially, the vicious cost cycle in fast fashion is real. Competitive pressure squeezes margins, and sustainability investment feels like a risk. Operationally, your supply chains are complex, fast moving, and not designed for circularity. Restructuring then takes time and coordination. Culturally, fast fashion has been built on manufacturing consumer demand for constant newness. Shifting that model requires changing not just operations, but mindsets, both internally and externally. And regulatorily, codes of conduct currently only reach your tier 1 supplier. Tucker and Artutus showed that everything deeper in the chain remains largely invisible. These are genuine challenges, but each of them has a specific strategy response, which is exactly what the roadmap addresses. As business leaders, there are four important ethical and legal issues you need to think about from the very start, not at the last minute. First, can you back up what you say? H&M Conscious Collection made environmental claims that turned out to be overstated. The EU now has laws that make false sustainability claims a legal risk, not a public relations problem. The rule is simple. If you cannot prove it, do not say it. Second, who actually pays for the change? EPR is a strong tool, but if you are not careful, the cost will just get pushed down to the suppliers and workers who are already struggling. Your business needs to make sure that does not happen. Third, who owns the data? Blockchain and AI collect a lot of private information about your suppliers and their workers. Before you roll out these tools, you need clear rules around consent and how that data is used and protected. And fourth, how far ahead are you thinking? Operational stewardship and the seventh generation principle ask us to judge our decisions not by what happens this quarter, but by what they mean for the people who come after us. for businesses trying to win over investors and customers who care about sustainability, showing that kind of long-term thinking is becoming a real competitive advantage, not just a nice idea. Here is a practical implementation path I am recommending. Phased, commercially grounded, and designed to generate returns at each stage. Phase 1, 0 to 12 months. Begin AI demand forecasting with 2 or 3 key Tier 1 suppliers to demonstrate measurable overproduction reduction. Partner with an existing e-commerce platform to test circular revenue without significant capital outlay. Conduct a full supply chain transparency audit across all tiers, not just Tier 1, so you know exactly what your exposure is. And invest in internal capability building so your team can lead this, not just comply with it. Phase 2, 1 to 3 years, scale and advocate. Roll out blockchain traceability across your full supply chain, giving you defensible, verifiable evidence of sustainability claims. Launch your brand take-back and repair scheme, turning product end of life into a new revenue channel. Engage actively with policymakers on EPR legislation. The businesses that shape the regulation will be far better positioned than those who react to this, and establish a supplier development fund to build capacity where it is most needed, reducing long-term supply chain risk. Phase 3, 3 to 5 years, transform fully circular product lines designed for disassembly from the outset. Third-party certification to provide credible, independently verified proof of your sustainable claims. Open sourcing supply chain data to drive industry-wide improvement, establishing your brand as a genuine leader, and embedding seventh generation thinking into your long-term strategic planning, ensuring every major decision is evaluated against its intergenerational impact. Let me bring this to a close with 3 things I want you to take out of this room today. 3 innovations that work together: AI and blockchain transparency, circular e-commerce platforms, and extended producer responsibility, covering every dimension of the triple bottom line. A $350 billion market opportunity that is growing every year, and that your competitors are already moving towards. And a clear phased roadmap that your business can begin implementing in the next 12 months. The brands that will lead this industry over the next decade are not those that make fashion faster. They are those that make it smarter, cleaner, and fairer. And the window to position your business as one of those leaders is open right now. But it will not stay open forever. The choice is yours. Thank you. This pitch is based on academic pieces, and here are the references.